Good morning, everyone. We have with ourselves Rahul and Divya today. They already are an FIP, and I think that's more or less the highest designation that there is when it comes to data privacy, and something that I aspire to become one day myself. I'll start off with the very beginning. So to address exactly why we all are here right now, I think people are already joining in. This is Tsaaro Academy's exclusive webinar that is how to become a fellow of information privacy. That is the FIP. So FIP is a very important designation when it comes to any individual that is just joining in or that is already practicing in the data privacy field. We all here on LinkedIn, we all see that, okay, somebody was just anointed FIP and they're just, experienced. You associate with them the level of experience, the level of work that they've already done in the privacy field. And yeah, eventually everyone that just joins in or is working in the privacy field wants to become an FIP. So there's always a question like how to become one, and that's exactly why we're here today to address it. Okay, so this is a fireside chat with people who are already an FIP. I think this is one of the best way to learn exactly how you can take those necessary steps to eventually become an FIP yourself. So I'll just introduce the speakers here today. Aside from that, I'll also hand over the mic to Divya and Rahul as well, so that they can give a detailed description exactly what kind of work they did, and just to make sure that you guys are aware how an FIP becomes, or how an individual can take that application process, take those necessary courses to ensure that they have those prerequisites. So I am Karthik Verma. I am a senior data protection consultant here at Tsaaro. I had done my DPO certification. I have done my CT DPO certifications. So I have been taking up privacy implementation. Other than that, gap assessments, risk assessments over different types of clients. Other than that, we have Divya Lekha here. She is a data privacy consultant at KPMG. She's an FIP. She's a CIPM. She's a CIPPE. She is a DIPTD. And we have Rahul here. He is an FIP, CIPPE. He's a CIPM, CRMP, ISO 27701 lead implementer, lead auditor, ISO 27701 lead auditor, ISO 22310 lead auditor, MBA, and an LLP. So I am handing over the mics to you, Divya and Rahul. A bit more introduction about yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Karthik. So, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining in. Like Karthik mentioned, I've been working with KPMG India as a data privacy consultant, and I had joined KPMG last year in 2000. Not last year, actually, 2022 January. So it's been 1 year that I have joined KPMG. And previous to that, I have worked in privacy, and I have catered to operationalization of privacy, if I can put it like that. So I have worked on areas such as handling data breaches, handling DSARs, and currently in my client engagement, I am particularly focused on completing and doing data element inventory and privacy impact assessment. And with regards to the certifications, I have completed CIPPE and CIPM in the last 1 year, and I recently became an FIP, I think in October starting. So that's about me, and now I'll hand it over to Rahul.
Thank you, Divya, and thank you, Karthik, for such a nice introduction. My name is Rahul, and I also work at KPMG India. Uh, I work in the capacity as an assistant manager, wherein I look after the engagements from client perspective, uh, delivering and taking care of all the client needs with regards to privacy, and look at the solution from technology as well as from privacy perspective. From certification, I have done CIPM, CIPPE, and then FIP. Furthermore, few ISO certifications, as you can see. The extensive work experience that I have on privacy has been, I have been working in privacy from 2017. It's been now 5 years, and overall 12 years within information cybersecurity and so on. I would love to talk to you about any questions or queries that you would have today, and would try and assist you in being FIP, which is the highest designation when it comes to data protection, as you said initially, Karthik. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rahul. Thank you so much, Divya. I think that was a very good introduction so that people could understand exactly, okay, what it takes to eventually get into this field and eventually how to become an FIP, how to stand where you guys are standing right now. So before we start, a bit about Tsaaro Academy. So Tsaaro Academy has been built to ensure that people, first of all, upscale themselves, and it's there to ensure that people in the privacy field or people who are looking to join the privacy field find that right path. It's not easy to build trust and manage risk at the same time, but yeah, this is what we're doing at here at Tsaaro Academy. We are the official training partners of IAPP. We are the official training partners of PECB, the DSCI, and we got recently featured in Express Computer, CXO, The Hindu. We have been dealing with courses that basically help people, first of all, get into the privacy field. Then there's an intermediate course that specifically caters to people who are there in privacy and want to get a deep dive of it. And then there's a practitioner that we recently developed. It talks about how you can implement tools and a bit more into the higher level things like vendor risk management and everything. Other than that, we also take up multiple courses regarding ISO domain. And yeah, that is more or less about the Tsaaro Academy. And with that, I think is the right time to start and exactly help people out. And that's why we are all here today. So before we start again, yeah, quick disclaimer that the presentation and points discussed here are more or less a matter of discussion, and the statements and opinion are expressed only, and they belong to the speakers here and myself. And this is purely for education and reference purposes. So yeah, the agenda for today is what is an FIP, what are the benefits of becoming an FIP, what are the application requirements, how do you manage an FIP designation, and what are the certifications associated to it. So yeah, I have a question, Rahul and Divya, before we start. Why do you think, why do privacy individuals need to take up IAPP courses? Why does it IAPP courses matter so much when we're talking about the privacy field?
I can take that first. So I think when we are talking about a certification, it just helps us validate and add credibility to whatever skills we hold. And if we look at specifically at IAPP certifications, the amount of and the scope of the information that they cover within their certifications, and how their whole syllabus is being led out, how the examination is being led out, is really great. And it's not just about just showing that, okay, I have done the certification and now I'm a CIPP or CIPM, but it also helps you in understanding to the very core about the principles and about the basics of data privacy, which will eventually help you in translating that knowledge into the practical world when you will be applying that in your organization or client engagements. So I think IAPP is the course itself, the certification itself is a learning experience, and it will not just be a certification that that you can flaunt, but it will definitely and obviously it will add on to your learning as well.
I will just add one more thing to it. So, in nutshell, IAPP is the gold standard when it comes to privacy. It is an organization that absolutely bring in the idea of privacy across Europe and multiple jurisdictions. It is a certification and an association that is recognized across the world, with all the people that are in privacy space have some sort of association with IAPP. It also uh, carry out the agenda of privacy in our government and non-government institutions, various geographies, and so any associations that you would any association that you would have with IAPP is great, and it is a seal of approval that you are serious about privacy. So anybody who wants to kickstart a career in privacy, IAPP is the way to go.
That's a thought of everybody that is actually getting into the field, that if you want to make yourself stand out, or if you want your profile to stand out, you have to do one of these courses. So, Rahul, Rahul and Divyan, I just wanted to know, like, what do you think is the benefit of doing these courses aside from gaining that theoretical knowledge? Is there any other benefit that you felt when you did this course? Did your profile actually stand out, or you felt that okay, people are starting to recognize this a bit more than once you have done CIPPE or CIPM or CIPT?
If you have any of those certifications, it's a short element in your profile that you are serious about privacy. Any recruiter, any organization, anyone you speak to will try and will take you seriously. Also, you get the critical knowledge, as you've said, which helps you demonstrate that you know your subject, and you can work in it, and you can maybe improve the practices of privacy of any organization or anywhere you're associated with. So it definitely makes you stand out. It definitely caters as an element that could upskill your career I have myself transitioned into privacy just because of these certifications. And you can ask anyone, they would have also done that. So it is definitely something that one should go for.
Okay. So I am a law student by background. So I did my law school. And this is what I felt when I basically entered into this field. This is the gap that there is when in regards to the technology. See, privacy is at the intersection when it comes to technology and law. So there is a huge gap that I felt personally. So what do you suggest, like a law student like myself or the people that are out there? What course do you think we should target? CIPPE, CIPM, CIPD?
I can take that one. So I think I myself also come from a background that is very different to privacy. We don't usually have courses in India that focus on privacy when I used to be a student. So I am an engineer by background. So I know something about cybersecurity, but privacy was a totally new concept for me. So I started off with CIPP certifications essentially because they helped in understanding the law and regulation that we will be ultimately implementing. So, having that knowledge, having that thorough understanding of the concepts about what privacy is and how do we implement it is more important as a first step. So, I think taking CIPP certifications first and then going to CIPM or CIPPT as per requirement, I think is a good way to go about it. But if someone is already coming from a law background and maybe Karthik, you would have some knowledge or some visibility about what privacy laws are and what privacy regulations are. So if you already have that knowledge, if you already have that understanding, you can choose CIPM or CIPT as per your interest, and as per your interest and as per the um, the future paths that you want to decide. Okay, you want to go on the technological side or you want to go in the managerial side. So if you want to go on in the operationalization of privacy, you can focus on CIPM, and if you want to focus on more technology related aspects of privacy, you can go for CIPT.
Well, I am of an opinion that GDPR is the mother of all privacy regulations. So CIPPE stands out as a choice for me. So whosoever I interact with should always go for CIPPE because that sets the tone, that sets the element of privacy in your brain, and then from there you follow. Once if your brain says that you more of a law, uh, more of a regulation kind of an individual, then you probably can go for CIPM, wherein you run the show for privacy. If you want to get into technology implementation solutioning, then probably you can take the route of CIPT. Or if you want to explore further jurisdiction, for example, you want to specialize in US law, Canada law, Asia law, then you can go for any of the version of CIPP, US, CIPP, Asia, and so on, APAC, right? So that is something that one should follow. But I always recommend start with CIPPE because GDPR, as I said, is the mother of all regulations. If you understand that, you are in a space where you can utilize that knowledge to build upon. So that, and then subsequently get one of the CIPTs or CIPM and then apply for FIP.
Okay, before we move on, we already have some questions flowing in. Rahul, would you be able to take this up? Like the question Shruti asked is like she already has done her CIPPE. She's asking like how hard is CIPM as we are comparing it to CIPPE?
It's not hard, it's tricky, really. So the 90 questions that you get, out of those 75, I would say, are scenario based. So it all tests, it really tests as to how do you perceive a problem. And the funny part is that none of the answer, majority of time, none of the answer is incorrect. It's just which would be the highest, the most likely to be the correct answer. This is how that test is designed. So you got to be careful as to what you think is the correct answer to a particular question. So what I would recommend, so it is little tricky. It's not that hard. The concepts, as long as you're okay with the concepts, you definitely can pass the exam. What I recommend usually is that you go through the book twice. It's, I think, 300-page book. So go through that book twice. There are notes available from Tsaaro and various other places. Then you can explore and make a list of all the pointers that you've noted, and then utilize that when you prepare for the exam.
I think with that, let's jump on to the main agenda here right now. That is what is an FIP. So I'll give a brief description, but yeah, then I'll have to hand over the mic to Rahul and Divya because I, as such, does not have that information right now. See, FIP is the Fellow of Information Privacy. It's a designation that signifies that you, as an individual, you as a privacy professional, have taken that next step in the privacy profession. You demonstrate this, and basically becoming an FIP demonstrates that you have a good knowledge of privacy. You have a good understanding of, first of all, how a privacy program has to be managed and implemented, and how an organization's data protection practices are utilized, how to implement them, how to constantly monitor them and upscale them. So this is what it means to become an FIP. But yeah, I would certainly like to hear it from Rahul and Divya.
So, like we have been discussing about FIP, so FIP is the highest designation that IIPP provides, and it requires you to complete two of the certifications, and then there is additional process that where you have to provide some recommendations also that I suppose we'll be discussing in the further slides. So, FIP, having an FIP designation attached to your name, it definitely signifies that you are capable enough of handling privacy obligations, you are capable enough of implementing privacy requirements in the organization, and it definitely adds to your credibility, to the knowledge that you have, that okay, you must have done some certifications and you must have studied about different regulations and how the, the managerial or the technological part of the privacy. So FIP is makes you an overall a good player in the field of privacy, I believe, and it will help you in demonstrating that whatever knowledge that you have, you will be able to translate in the actual world.
Just to add, FIP is the holy grail. So, for all those who are not familiar with the metaphor, right? It's the ultimate goal if you are in privacy. Because I'll take this I'll follow the reverse psychology here. So, one of the key criteria for you to be selected as a DPO or mandated by the law itself is that you should be competent to know the obligation that are in relation to privacy or the law that you're exposed to, right? So FIP brings in that element of competency, demonstrate, showcase, checks in that box that you are competent to do what you are supposed to do while you're sitting at that role. So it is a way to be at the right place. You just have to follow, get a CIP, get a FIP, and then maintain it, and you're sorted for life as long as nothing new comes up.
Okay. I think that answers the question. Like at the end, I definitely associated the same thing, Rahul. I also personally felt that this is the actual goal. This is what you need to do to become, the most recognized person, or rather, a person that whenever he's going somewhere, people associate that. Okay, he has done something in privacy. He has that necessary experience. That is what an FIP is. So I think we discussed some of the benefits, yeah, but there are other benefits as well, like the on-job experience, the expertise that it showcases when you have an FIP designation, that you're already an expert in law and the management of technology. It elevates your profile certainly, and it opens doors to new opportunities. But I wanted to know your experience, Divya and Rahul. Like once you got this certification, once you got this designation of an FIP, what benefits that you personally felt that came associated with this designation?
I think it gave me a sense of confidence, first of all. I felt more confident in my own skills and my own capabilities and my own understanding of what privacy is. And I knew that, okay, if I've completed these two certifications and now I'm an FIP, I know that people in my organization, people around me would look up to me if they need any information or if they need any clarity on some concept of privacy. So it helps you become the go-to person, a recognized person, as you said. So this was one of the benefits that I faced and I saw after I completed FIP. And also if we talk about in the LinkedIn world, so a lot of people who just started their privacy journey and or the IPP certification journey, so they reached out with a lot of questions about how did I become FIP, how did I complete my other two certifications and what the journey looked like. So it gives you a sense of responsibility also, that now that you have been given this designation, you have to live up to it. You just cannot get you once you're done away with it, you just have to flaunt it. No, but you have a sense of responsibility that you know you have to help other people around you. So that is one of the benefits, that you get to help other people around you in achieving their goals. And definitely it gives you a lot more visibility to the by the recruiters. You get a lot of job opportunities once you have that designation, because definitely people, when you are recognized with such a big organization, when people know that you have cleared these two certifications, they definitely improve your visibility also.
So few tangible benefits that I could maybe list down if I have to. I got a lot of calls from recruiters and people hiring in privacy space. Then a lot of calls from people who would want to venture into privacy. I got invited to few seminars to talk about privacy as well. So these are the few advantages, and I think of me as a people person. I would love to contribute to society and try and help others, and that brings in that confidence as well as the fact that you know what you're talking about and people try and listen to you. So that added advantage is really something that you can utilize.
Okay, I understand, and I definitely feel that having this designation, more or less, okay, there are benefits attached to it. But yeah, Divya and Rahul, you both pointed out that okay, once you have this, you also have a new sense of responsibility, and once you have this designation, you also need to constantly upscale yourself and help the people around you. I think that's definitely one of the best things that I heard today. And since you are here right now, you are helping people right now, so that's one thing. Um, there's one thing I personally felt, Rahul. I just had this question: like, does experience goes hand in hand with having this designation, or is something like experience you can gain afterwards you get this designation?
Privacy is any which ways is a budding field. We started off with a law, slowly and gradually we're moving towards technology. So what we do today may not be relevant in few years. So experience plays a vital role, but you have to have your foot in the door. And for that particular reason, these certifications really help. Experience and certification goes hand in hand because if you are associated with IAPP, which is the sponsor of FIP, then you get to hear new things every day. Every day they publish new material if there is a law that has come up. They give comparisons. They do tools assessment. They would provide you as to how the geography looks like when it comes to privacy. So you have plethora of information that is available for you, which you can utilize to upskill yourself and have meaningful conversation with your peers and people that you talk to. In fact, your clients, your customers, your colleagues, peers would know that you are serious about the subject and you keep yourself updated while working on engagements because the at the pace which the privacy landscape is changing, industry may not evolve at that same pace. So experience is definitely something there, but in the on the other hand, if your association with the IAPP and your peers and your technology groups could bring in additional information that you can maybe translate into your work and stand out from the crowd.
Okay, I think then that answers my question as well. Like, okay, experience is something that you eventually gain, but you have to take that first step towards the privacy. Definitely. Other than that, I also have a question for you, Divya. You mentioned that you recently joined KP. 1 year back, you joined KPMG and you have become an FIP. So this question is directed to you. Like, how does so certainly we all know that it's also a benefit of FIP that okay, it opens the door to new opportunities. But how do you feel that the designation of an FIP takes you to these new opportunities? How do the recruiters feel when they see that okay, an FIP tag has been attached to an individual?
I think they've become more confident that you are a potential right candidate that they are targeting. When we are talking about new recruiters reaching out to you, they know that they are a little less hesitant. Okay, because sometimes we see in the job description it is explicitly mentioned that you should have a CIPPE or CIPM certification, but now when you have an FIP, they automatically know that, okay, you have had these these certifications before, and they become more confident in taking your profile to in a step forward. So I think the recruiters are much more respectful of your time that ways, because they know that as a experienced candidate, as a recognized candidate, who won't be wasting their time, and they won't will be, there are high chances that that the next steps would be completed in a smooth manner, because you are taking a recognized candidate in front of the business team. So I think the approach that recruiters ultimately follow when they see a resignation attached to you, it changes a lot. Their approach changes a lot in a positive manner, obviously.
This is what I'm eventually looking for, to have that kind of effect when I'm applying to new places. But yeah, other than this, see, I this is what I personally feel. I feel that FIP is a designation that is only provided to the industry leaders. If I'm being blunt about it, how do individuals who just started out in privacy and who does not have that technical background like me, how does one take that step? Okay, definitely there's this requirement that you take up two certifications, you take up CIPPE, you take up CIPM, or you take up CIPT. But is there like an application process, or what is process is there to actually become this basically an information privacy fellow, the FIP designation?
Uh, so it's mentioned in the slide as well. So first of all, you'll have to have a CIPP certification. It can be in European jurisdiction, Asia, Canada, US, whichever you want to take. And after that, once you have completed it, you can take either of CIPM or CIPT. Once you have these two certifications with you, there is an FIP application form that you have to go and submit on the IPP website. And there you will have to submit a citation for yourself, where you demonstrate why and how you are capable of getting the certification, and demonstrate the work that you have done in privacy. So the current requirement is having 3 years of experience. And apart from a personal citation, you will have to give references of 3 of your peers, um, of people that you have already worked with in privacy field, who can vouch for your experience and vouch for your skills. And once the IPP team has all of this information, they review it, and if it is good to go, then your application will be approved, and you will be designated with the FIP designation.
Okay,
So
understood.
just to add, Karthik, sorry, apologies.
Yeah,
So
sure, Rahul.
this was a straightforward application process for people who may be venturing into privacy for the very first time. Because nobody would usually, so that's what I've seen, that no qualification as of today exists which directly talks about privacy in India. There could be new courses that might be coming up. I'm not aware of those, but you usually venture into information security. From there you come to privacy. So the key criteria is you should have 3 years of experience to be classified as an FIP, right? Now within that, there's a catch that you have to have 50% of that work that you have done, bare minimum 50% of the work that you've done into privacy. So when you do information security, majority of times you're protecting information data that could eventually qualify as privacy work if you have the right skill set for that, right? On top of that, there are certification bodies like ISACA, IEEE, and so on. If you have one of those certifications, that could satisfy 1 year of your requirement. So in nutshell, if you have one of these certification, alongside that you have 2 years of experience, you can definitely throw your hat in the ring to be qualified as a FIP, provided that you have done CIPP certification and a CIPM or CIPT. Now this is a straightforward path. Now if you want to venture onto that path, if you have any of the certifications that you've done, set your mind to it, do a CIPP, get a CIPM. Once you get the rigor, you would definitely be able to get it done in a 3 months time. I'm sure that definitely is achievable. And then while you're doing so, you work with people who are exposed to privacy or does some kind of work in privacy. It is not mandatory that these people also should hold IEPP certifications. They might hold other certifications, or they might not hold any certification. All they need to vouch is that you have done work, you have worked in privacy. As long as you have done some work in the privacy in very specific area, the citation that you're going to give must have very specific areas, like for example that you've contributed to society by taking training sessions, that you've carried out a lot of client interactions, carried out a lot of technology implementation, solutioning, and so on. It must be captured in your citation, and that same has to be uh, you know uh, collaborated by your colleagues who are going to pitch in for you for this certification or this title. Then you're good to go. Then you shouldn't have any challenges.
In the chat box, I think we have a very interesting question, and something that I personally also actually need an answer to. Uh, that is basically, can we get an FIP certification if we take up CIPT and CIPM, or is it CIPPE is something or very necessary like CIPP US, APAC?
CIPPE, Asia, Europe, Canada, US is absolutely must. It is mandatory. Without that, you can't have FIP certification, because that is big privacy as of today. How it is perceived is more towards law. Law is what is regulating the privacy space in the entire world. So you must be thorough with the law to qualify for that particular country, jurisdiction, or anywhere, and you must have to establish that you have that certification to say that, okay, I'm versed with the law. I have passed that exam, and that is why I would want to get this certification. So it's absolutely mandatory.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification, Rahul and Divya. And I hope that answered your question, Shikhar. So yeah, once we get that FIP designation, there's also one question that I had. So IAPP has a membership. So once you become an FIP, what is the process thereafter? Like IAPP membership has to be renewed. Is it the same thing with the FIP designation, or like is it works something else?
So for FIP specifically, if you are maintaining your other two certifications, your CIPP and CIPM or CIPT, you don't have to specifically get a certificate, the membership or certificate maintenance fee for FIP specifically. If you are maintaining the other two certifications, your FIP designation will be retained. So there will be no change unless until you are not fulfilling the criteria or the requirements of the other two certifications.
The criteria to maintain those is there is something called CPE, right? Continuous learning, like something I forgot the full definition of it. But yes, you have to have 20 points every year against each certification. So if you hold two, then you have to have 40 in an entire calendar year, so that your certification is maintained. You must fulfill it, it's bare minimum. And the reason why is uh, these certification bodies have created these certifications so that everybody stays up to date when it comes to privacy law and privacy regulations. It's just that it's not that you have this certification today and then you're done. You must work towards keeping yourself upskill. You must work towards learning what is happening in the trade, what is happening in the market. You must know what is the change in the law. So how you can get these CPE credits is by attending conferences, be part of webinars, attend sessions, attend boot camps, read through content that is published by IAPP or other associated bodies. And that's how you have to have 20 credits every year, which will again go towards your certification. And if you maintain those, your FIP continues. The IAPP membership is for 1 year. It is supposed to be renewed every year. There is a cost associated with it. Depends on what sort of enrollment that you've done. There is a catch. If you want to save money, probably you could go for student membership if you are a student by any chance, or if you have higher education, then you maybe can utilize that. But again, the majority of times we go for the membership which is more to do professional, because we end up working post completing our studies. So this is the way to go about it.
And just to add on to this, a lot of times various organizations also have corporate memberships. So if you're working in an organization that might be a member of IIPP, you'll be able to save a lot of money on these IIPP memberships.
Big Four usually have this because this is something that helps in client interaction. So if you're associated with the Big Four, probably you would have some sort of a program in place wherein they can renew your membership every year.
So, other than the normal membership fees and the courses that you take up, is there an additional cost that is associated with the FIP designation? Or is it something that you just gain as soon as you have the minimum requirements?
So you clear both the certifications, you maintain those certifications, you submit your application, and your application is approved, then you're an FIP. There is no additional cost, there is no maintenance cost associated with it.
And I think there's an interesting question by Shruti, and she's asking like the recommendation. So definitely that is one of the most important prerequisites, that you need to have a certain set of recommendations from people who would serve as your referrals when the application process is taking up. So do those people needs to be from the same organization, or they just need to be from your previous work experience where they associated with you when you were taking up any task related to privacy?
They don't necessarily have to be part of your current organization or current team that you're working in. If you have worked in some previous organization in the field of privacy, and there are people, not necessarily people you have, your immediate peers, could be your clients as well. So anyone you have worked with who can vouch for your skills and your capabilities in with regards to privacy, you should be good to go. I mean, there is no such obligation put in by IAPP that they have to be from your current organization.
Okay, I think I understood from that. So, how is that this process happening? So, like IAPP takes up applications in a so through the slide we can understand that it happens in a biannual manner. So, people throughout the year they apply to it, and twice a year they list out people who have made it as per IAPP, that they are now certified as an FIP. Is that how it happens?
No, Karthik. So, as regarding the biannually point, so it is just an announcement of newly designated fellows in privacy in the conferences that are organized by IAPP. So IAPP keeps on organizing various conferences and various summits across the world. So what they usually do is there is a new set of FIPs that they have convocated. So they'll just announce those in that forum. But if you as an individual apply for an FIP designation, you are given a TAT of 4 weeks, where you have to complete all the requirements. You have to give your own citation. Your references that you have put in should submit their citations about you. So once everything is there and it reaches to the IAPP team, you will get the FIP designation within the 4 weeks time frame. So it is not like that suppose you have submitted the application in January, you will be designated FIP in June. No, that won't happen. You will be given the FIP designation within the 4 weeks of submission of your application.
So the chain of event is such that if I have completed CIPM, CIPP in December, I get my certification in mid of December. On that particular day, I can go to IAPP website and submit the application. While submitting the application, there are 3 or 4 questions that are asked. You have to give your citation. Why do you think you should be qualified as an FIP? Then the details of the people who would be your references. You list down those, you submit that. Within 24 hours, you usually get an email that we have received your application. Please allow 4 weeks for us to cross-check. Like within 5 or 6 days, one of the person from IAPP will reach out to those references. They would ask them that Rahul has nominated you to give his reference. They would write your reference. Then once they do so, that reference goes to your application file. That application is then alongside with those references reviewed by IAPP. If that is passed, they would send an email to you within 4 weeks saying that, okay, your application is selected. You will be designated as an FIP soon. Soon you will get a badge as well as a certification. So that's how the chain of events flow.
Okay, I think that makes things bit more understanding. Now I actually understand the whole workflow that is associated with the application process. And we have a very interesting question as well. That is, does these courses, like you mentioned, ISACA courses and CISM courses, these courses, can they waive off the experience prerequisite? somehow. Like
Only 1 year.
that is only 1 year. Okay,
Only
understood.
1 year.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
Uh,
only 1 year. I understand the amount of hard work that it goes into getting those, but unfortunately, it's just 1 year that it takes off.
okay. Yeah, it's better than zero at least. But yeah. So these are, I think, the certifications taken up by IAPP. That is basically CIPP courses. So CIPP courses are usually about talking about the different laws and regulations that are there. And if you're talking about USA, there's a CIPP US designated, there's a CIPP-E, there's a CIPP Asia, and then there's a CIPM course that talks about privacy from a managerial perspective, talking about implementation of privacy in an organization. That is the CIPM course. CIPT, on the other hand, like we discussed earlier, is more or less inclined towards the development of technology. It is how technology needs to be implemented in applications and systems. And that's more or less, if you're from a technical background, or if you are somebody who is more interested in the implementation of privacy, this is what you should aim for. Other than this, what other areas that you felt when you took up FIP? How did you, Rahul and Divya, did you feel that, okay, uh, obviously, since you already are experienced in your work and you already have that prerequisite knowledge, but having that FIP designation, did that actually help you out in your work and somehow in your client meetings or in any other areas that you're currently working on?
For me, definitely it did, because when I took CIPPE, I was like, okay, now I know what privacy is from European regulation perspective. But when I took CIPM, I was able to relate it more to the work that I was doing. Like I mentioned, I was dealing with a lot of PIAs, data element inventories, creating data flows, and things like that. So CIPM helped me in understanding those concepts a little more in depth, and I was able to apply those learnings in my client engagements, which also helped in highlighting areas which were usually missed by us as a team. So having CIPPE was a good starting point, but CIPM for me personally was the certification that helped me actually translate my learnings into the work that I was actually doing.
So I'll just give a recent example. I was talking to one of the client, and during that interaction, they had few questions around. So it's predominantly law colleagues or people from law background. I was talking to the data privacy officer who have all the colleagues from law background. So I was talking to them, and they were a little hesitant when it comes to technology. So they needed somebody who could break it down for them in terms of simpler words and make them understand how the obligation is supposed to be met. Now, how this call eventually transitioned into, like, you have those certifications or people within your organization has those certifications. Okay, we now have the faith. Okay, these certifications, people have attained those is because they have that skill set, required knowledge, required element of privacy information and technology implementation that they could help solve these problems. So if you have those tags associated with your name, I think it is definitely something that stands out. Another element, I'll spin it off in a different way, right? FIP is a designation which is recognized worldwide, and the association, the IAPP association, is also recognized worldwide. It is the gold standard, it's the benchmark for privacy. So the every yearly September, IAPP usually gives you an opportunity to be a part of the IAPP group. For example, young privacy professional, or maybe it gives you to co-chair, chapter co-chair, and so on. Right? If you are an FIP, your chances of getting selected for that particular designation increases. And once you get that, you get into the alma mater of really how privacy is supposed to take shape. You get into a place wherein you start taking initiative to drive those points, see for yourself how things are changing. So I think this is another element one should always look at if you are really serious about privacy and you would want to establish a career in privacy. FIP is the first step. Then from there, get into the upper echelons of power when it in IAPP, and then utilize that to upskill yourself, and you can flaunt it because you worked hard towards it.
And also, I think, yeah, that definitely helps me understand. Okay, eventually, this also helps me make my mind up, and eventually, yeah, this is what I would be aiming for. This is something that I will strive for. That eventually, once I have that necessary experience, and I will try. Okay, and I'll try to shave that 3 years experience off by taking up some of the courses as well. But yeah, once I have that, this is what I'll be aiming for. Yeah, becoming an FIP. And I think with that, we are nearing our session as well. So, learners, please, any questions that you have, please feel free to post it, because eventually this clarifications will eventually help you out. Yeah, I think Shruti also posted a very interesting question. That is, how do you keep track of the CPEs that you collect? Is there like a website? Is there like a like how do you note that? Like, how is that monitored?
So IPP website itself has a section where you have to update the CIPs that you're getting. So suppose if you did a OneDress certification, so OneDress also offers various free certifications that you can take to uh, get those CPE credits. So if you have taken such certification or if you have attended any such conferences or events that provide CPEs, you can just go to the IPP website. There's a section where you have to submit your CP. There are a few questions that they ask, like what is the topic, or in which section does that CP fall. So if you have attended a conference, you'll have to select that, so on and so forth, and you'll have to enter the amount of CPERs that you have gained from that certification or that event or conference, and you just have to submit it. So in your profile, once you submit, if I have submitted 3 or 4 of the CPE credits, so it will reflect in my profile, and whenever I feel and whenever I want to check about the remaining CP credits that I need to get, I can just simply go to the IPP website and my profile, and I'll be able to see and track all those details there.
So anything which is hosted by IAPP, be it a conference, be it a session, be it anything, if you have attended those, the credits will automatically reflect in your profile. Anywhere wherein you have gone extra mile and maybe hosted some sessions which is eligible for CPE. Not every session or not every workshop is eligible for CPE. You have to just check whether it is eligible or not. Then you take a note of that, the date that you've taken those sessions or workshops, and then add on to your profile. There's a username and password that is given to you when you enroll into IAPP membership. Then utilizing that, you can go to your profile. My IAPP is the icon. Click there, you get your profile. My certificates, you get that. You have the option of add CPE. Another thing, if you are if if you really want to complete your CPs and you don't have a lot of time, there is an element called there is something called source on IAPP page, which is a combination of videos, combination of sessions, combination of white papers, combination of various elements that has either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 CPE credits associated with it. So once you complete those, you have to read through that, you have to download study as to what it is, and they take a note of that, and then eventually add those to your profile, and that's how you can complete those. You absolutely have to be serious about maintaining those credits, because I've seen people who get email from IAPP at the very last moment that you have not completed your credits, and we might have to invalidate your certification. So all the hard work, all the efforts that you've made goes down the drain if you don't maintain that. So it's not that once done, you're done. You have to constantly work towards evolving it, improving it, and kind of keep a track of where you are in regards to your CPE credits.
Okay, I think it's very similar to the law background, and if I'm being candid about it, it's very similar to implementing privacy, right? You have to constantly monitor it and upscale it. So yeah, I think I got the answer there. Other than this, I think more questions are flowing in. They are very basic questions as well. I think there's one question by Shika that is the certification of CIPT and CTPSC similar in nature, because they all deal with the implementation of privacy technology. is can CIPT be equated to these courses, or CIPT is in a league of its own because it's one of those three courses?
I have familiarity with CIPT. I don't have familiarity with CDPSE. But what I've heard, slowly and gradually, CIPT is making a lot of hue and cry in the market. It's creating a name for itself because earlier on, where we started off with law, and slowly and gradually we are moving towards technology as a solution for all the problems that we have today. In regards to privacy, for example, privacy enhanced technology, PET is what we call it, synthetic data, monologuing, and there is computations that these technologies will eventually be the thing of future. So CIPT certification would add a lot of values for people who would want to learn technology. I'm not familiar with CDPSE, but I think it also has some sort of background of privacy engineering. It can get into the space wherein you are more towards product building, you are more into developing privacy enhanced products. There is a concept by privacy by design. So I think this could very well get hand in hand with that.
Understood. I think with that, we are almost near the end of the session. So before we end the session, I was just wanted to talk about Tsaaro Academy and the training sessions and certifications that we give out. Other than the IAPP certification that we have discussed extensively today, we also give out the CDPSC and HCI SSP certification, and there's this certified Tsaaro data. So yeah, like how you explained, Rahul, CDPSC certification is for IT professionals who work with technology and then try to store, collect, and transport that personal information. So there's the element of privacy by design and the development of technology inculcated in there. Then the HCI SSP certification is something that is administered by ISC. It is for information security professionals who are responsible for protecting the data that is there with related to health information. So I think PHI is whenever any person that is dealing with PHI or is taking up consultation with a firm that is dealing with PHI, that person should be HCI SSP certified. Then there's the certified Tsaaro data protection officer. This is a course divided by Tsaaro Academy exclusively. This is divided into three parts. There's the foundation course, there's the intermediate course, and the practitioner course. So this is something that gives hands-on experience to privacy people and individuals that are just looking in to get into the privacy domain. It is something that is on the roadmap that helps you out with security implementation, solution implementation, as well as teaching you the very basics and the nooks and crannies of the privacy domain. And at the very end, if you, the learners, would like to connect with us to know more about your journey to become an FIP, please scan this QR code and fill in the form. So what would happen is you would be redirected to a form, you would fill that form, and we would have that contact information through which we can connect with you. And if you have some doubts which are still remaining, if you still feel that you need some question that needs to be answered, you can post them there and we will help you out. And it was a very knowledgeable session, Rahul. Divya, I think I learned personally a lot, and definitely the learners would have gained a lot from this session. The concept of FIP and how you become one, and once you have become one, how do you manage it? I think that's much more clear. The whole application process, the prerequisites, and the benefits associated with the whole designation, that has become much more clear to me. And personally, now I identify that this is something that I need to do in the long run, and that has to be there in the pipeline of every privacy individual. I think with that, thank you for joining, Rahul, and thank you for joining, Divya, and thank you for taking this time out. Since you all mentioned that privacy fellow in privacy specifically have that kind of responsibility now that they need to help out the individuals and build this whole domain. And yeah, privacy is a budding field, so everybody that is there right now is more or less learning. So thank you for helping us out, and definitely, I think the learners learned a lot from you right now.
Thank you for the opportunity, Karthik and the team. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Karthik. Thanks for having us here.